Peace and blessings to the family. This is Brother Afro Descendant Ali here with a Muhammad Speaks very special report where we will be just providing information about the recent lawsuit given about a week ago where Malcolm X's family files for a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit against the United States government. So here the family is alleging that the government has their fingerprints all over the assassination, according to Vibe magazine, and we are reporting this on the Muhammad Speaks website as well. Attorneys for the family of the late civil rights leader Malcolm X are officially moving forward with an explosive $100 million lawsuit against the United States government and several government agencies. According to the lawsuit, which was filed on Friday, November 15th, X's attorneys have accused the government, Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, and NYPD of being complicit or turning a blind eye to X's murder in 1965. The government's fingerprints are all over the assassination of Malcolm X, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump said during a press conference announcing the lawsuit. We believe we have evidence to prove it. We're using copies of, we're actually going to be looking at the lawsuit itself coming up shortly. This seems to be spearheaded by Malcolm X's daughter, Ilyasa Shabazz. If you haven't liked Muhammad Speaks, please subscribe to the channel and also subscribe to our website, www.muhammadspeaksnews.com. Continuing on, Shabazz touched on her late mother and X's widow, Betty Shabazz, giving her the motivation to press forward with their mission to hold those responsible for her father's death accountable. It has been a long time to get to this point, and we fought primarily for our mother, who was here on February 21st, 1965, said Shabazz. My mother was pregnant, but she came here to see her husband speak, someone who she just admired totally, and to witness the horrific assassination of her husband. Let's take a look at the press conference here, spearheaded by attorney Benjamin Crump.
Ready? Okay. Good morning. I'm attorney Ben Crump, along with attorney Ray Hanlon, attorney Nabiha Shear, attorney Brooke Cluse, and attorney Flint from the People's Law Firm, and attorney Jonathan Moore from here in New York City. We have the honor of representing the estate of Malcolm X. We have present here with us, most importantly, his daughter, Ilyasa Shabazz, who is the personal representative of the estate and working along with her family to get the justice that has eluded them for almost 60 years. I want to take a point to talk about the great team of legal warriors that have been assembled to fight this battle. Attorney Ray Hamlin has been fighting with the family for over a decade. He hails out of New Jersey. Attorney Flint Taylor is a stalwart civil rights lawyer. He represented the family of Fred Hampton when COINTELPRO federal government-led assassination killed Brother Fred in his home next to his wife. He never gave up on getting justice for Fred Hampton, and he has vowed not to give up on getting justice for Malcolm X. So we're very proud to have him assembled with our team. Also, we have present with us a good friend, an old foxhole warrior that we fought many battles with. The one that is most storied for him is his gallant representation of the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five, and how he fought for 11 years, steadfastly committed, never ever taking his eyes off the prize. And we're so honored to have him as the local counsel with us in this war. Attorney Nabiha Shear, a young, brilliant, courageous lawyer, has been working with young lawyers in our firm and the People's Law Firm night and day for almost 3 years now to go through FBI files, any state attorney files, district attorney files that have been released, to dot every I and cross every T. And along with Attorney Brooke Cluse and myself, we are just ready for this fight. As we come up on the eve of the 60-year anniversary into the assassination of Malcolm X, we here today officially announce the filing of our $100 million lawsuit against the United States government, the FBI, the CIA, and the NYPD, who we believe all conspired to assassinate Malcolm X, one of the greatest thought leaders of the 21st century.
And shout out to Attorney Crump, using his legal expertise to fight on the side of justice for our people. Many accuse him of being a simple ambulance chaser, but in many cases he does help the family. This is a case that seems to be somewhat a bit out of his scope because it does challenge other agencies outside of law enforcement. We know the FBI is law enforcement, but the CIA is just a little different than the simple local, state, county, and national. In the case of the FBI, this is something that's a little different, maybe outside of the scope, and we hope that this uncovers this. The reason why this is a specific interest for Muhammad Speaks News is that the assassination of Malcolm X, especially since the advent of the motion picture X, directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington. This has been something that has been an albatross around the neck of the legacy of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Lost Foundation of Islam. There has been somewhat a tension between the greater so-called African American community, somewhat, and the Lost Foundation of Islam as a result of that movie, mainly, and other media such as the autobiography of Malcolm X, where there has been some speculation that A lot of that was fabricated as well on the behalf of Alex Haley. And there were rumors that he was some type of government operative as well. In addition to, there are rumors that there were the other piece of literature that he produced in Roots were also embellished. So a lot of these things, they don't see the light of day. And it seems like, in addition to, I wouldn't want to be Ilyasa Shabazz, having living the majority of her life. This is 60 years now. Malcolm X will be 99 years old, almost 100. He died a very young man. And these were young girls living in the shadow of the legacy of their father who didn't raise them. And this is pretty much consumed their entire life. This man, Malcolm X. So I empathize with the children with regard to, they don't know. And they've been, in just my personal observation, they seem to be trying to piece it together. They're trying to get clarity. And good for Ilyasa for continuing to fight the good fight. And to me, this is an indication that, at least in her mind, the Lost Foundation of Islam is not guilty of the murder and assassination of Malcolm X. And I hope this really sees the light of day. This topic definitely, in most cases, doesn't generally get the exposure that it needs to, because in many people's mind, it's an open and closed case. Where the most common narrative is that the Nation of Islam is somehow guilty of this. And as we can see here, the family of Malcolm X himself, they actually believe that the government was complicit in the assassination, hence this $100 million lawsuit. I want to take a turn back to the article itself. And we also have an article just outlining the details on Muhammad Speaks News. If you haven't seen our website, visit us at MuhammadSpeaksNews.com. MuhammadSpeaksNews.com. Please subscribe. We have a $2 per month plan, and we promise to bring you news from the black world here at Muhammad Speaks. But to go on with the article, the Shabazz family's plan to take legal action against the government and its agencies were first announced by Crump in February 2023, on the 58th anniversary of Malcolm X's murder, which occurred at Harlem's former Audubon Ballroom in 1965. The lawsuit gained legs in 2021, when Nation of Islam members Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam, two of the three men convicted of gunning down X, were exonerated, and their murder convictions overturned after it was determined the men were innocent. As Aziz and Islam's release were largely due to the confession of Mujahid Abdul Halim, the third convicted gunman in the case, who told authorities that the pair was innocent and not involved in the assassination. Aziz and Islam's family would later receive a combined $36 million in lawsuit settlements related to their wrongful convictions. So in that article, as you can see, the story of the Nation of Islam being complicit in the murder of Malcolm X just not being true, as you had members of the Nation of Islam who were
inside Harlem's Audubon Ballroom in 1965,
convicted at the time, but were simply not
of the three men found guilty of his murder.
So let's take a look here.
Civil rights leader, firebrand.
At some
We
of
invested
the
310 years of slave labor.
some of
Make
the
him give us
media
the back pay.
around the
His assassination inside
of
Harlem's
Malcolm
Audubon
X
Ballroom
at
in
the time.
1965 was a
Let me
wound to
get
the heart of
this,
Black America. Of the
audio
three men
right
found
here.
guilty of his murder,
Bear with me a
two were
moment.
wrongfully convicted.
Two people were not inside of the ballroom the day that Malcolm was shot.
Their case finally reopened, correcting a miscarriage of justice.
We are moving today to vacate the conviction of Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam for the assassination of Malcolm X.
Nobody was listening.
Malcolm X, revolutionary, civil rights leader, firebrand.
We invested 310 years of slave labor. Make him give us the back pay.
His assassination inside Harlem's Audubon Ballroom in 1965 was a wound to the heart of Black America. Of the three men found guilty of his murder, two were wrongfully convicted.
Two people were not inside of the ballroom the day that Malcolm was shot.
Their case finally reopened, correcting a miscarriage of justice.
We are moving today to vacate the convictions of Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam for the assassination of Malcolm X.
Nobody was listening.
But the world is listening now.
Oh, yeah.
By 1965, Malcolm X had enemies. He had split from the Nation of Islam, and he was under surveillance by the FBI.
There's a moment in 1964 when J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, sends a telegram to his office located in New York. And basically he says, quote, "Do something about Malcolm X."
The role that the FBI played, they knew how to exploit, right, the tensions, and they spread suspicion and hatred through the ranks against Malcolm.
On February 21st, 1965, it all came to a head, just as Malcolm X was to deliver a speech at the Audubon Ballroom.
He walked out onto the stage. Then a man stepped up 15 feet from the stage. He crouched, took perfect aim, and blasted right through the lectern into Malcolm's heart.
One gunman, Talmadge Hare, now Mujahideen Abdul Halim, was arrested fleeing the scene.
What's your wire? What's your wire?
Later, the
Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. So as we can see, we have let's go
Malcolm
back here. Well, looks like audio is not cooperating. Sorry about that, family. But as you can see, you have people who vacated the scene. Who were not even at the scene, who were falsely convicted, and spent many years in prison. Members been arrested and convicted simply because they were members of the Nation of Islam. That's horrible. There's no amount of money that can reward these men for a life lived, and even to the degree that Khalil Islam received his payout shortly before he passed away. Hopefully his family can live off of that, and it compensates them for the loss of years and earnings that he was not able to provide for them. And, that leaves a legacy for them. However, you only live one life, and when it's over, it's over. And we can't waste time. And for all these people, and salute to those who have spent many years and been exonerated because DNA proved that they were not guilty of whatever crimes that they were convicted of. But, you live one life and you can't get those years back. No amount of money can give those years back to people who are wrongfully convicted. And I think that this should not be glossed over by our people. So let's go back to the actual press release, pardon me, the press conference with attorney Benjamin Crump, who will give some details about surrounding the actual lawsuit and the evidence they have.
We believe there is solid ground to go forward with this lawsuit at this time. We're not just making history, but we're making a path for justice. We believe a precedent setting path for justice for those who have been denied justice by the American legal system for far too long. It has been a long journey, also 3 years almost. And I know
Sorry about that.
we have been unearthing new evidence, evidence of people never having spoken before about what had that testimony before. Also, Saeed and Walter, two young men who were part of Malcolm's regular security, were arrested the week before after they had been entrapped by Raymond Wood, an undercover NYPD officer who was working in cahoots with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And we now know that Raymond Wood was also present here in the Audubon Theater the day that Malcolm X was assassinated on February 21st, 1965. Walter and Saeed have both sworn affidavits that they believe their entrapment and arrest and being in prison and in the jail the week before Malcolm's assassination was all part of the conspiracy to make sure that the assassination attempt on Malcolm X's life was successful. Walter is 93 years old, and he, for the first time, swore an affidavit as to what they believe happened on February 21st, 1965. And we know that there were 9 police officers undercover in this room when Malcolm was assassinated. And we know that Eugene Roberts was also one of the undercover black police officers who had been assigned to infiltrate the black resistance organizations like CORE, like the Nation of Islam, like Malcolm X's Afro-American Unity. The government fingerprints are all over the assassination of Malcolm X. And finally, we believe we have the evidence to prove it. And you're going to hear from these great lawyers before you hear from his daughter about why we feel so convicted at this moment in time as we come up on the 60th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X to say that we will finally get to justice and truth about not only the assassination of Malcolm X, but the orchestrating assassination of Malcolm X. At this time,
Excellent call out from Attorney Crump regarding the infiltration of various law enforcement agencies within the United States into many of these organizations, to include the Organization of Afro American Unity and the Nation of Islam. This should not be swept under the rug that the United States government did have agents within those organizations.
I give you a great lawyer, a person who's been with the family over the years, a great Omega man, Attorney Ray Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. As we stand here today in the center, it's a place of hope on behalf of the Shabazz family. Almost 60 years ago, though, this was a place of unspeakable tragedy and pain. It is a testament to the family who has been living with the burdens of what happened in 1965. And the fact that they are continuing, along with these lawyers, to seek justice for Malcolm X. And I want you to think about something for a moment. When Attorney Crump was talking about Mr. Hassan, the fact of the matter is, Mustafa Hassan was present on the date that Malcolm X was assassinated. He is prominently displayed in these photographs. Why would it be that no one, for almost 57 years, never heard from him, never spoke to him, never took a statement from him? This is law enforcement who has the ability to question witnesses, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the city of New York. Why wouldn't they speak to someone whose presence is so prominent? Fortunately, because this fight has been going on for decades, we had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Hassan. And Mr. Hassan finally came forward to provide the information that he's been holding for all those decades. So you ask yourself this last question. Why would the government prosecute two individuals knowing those individuals had no involvement in the assassination? What was it that our government, that the city was trying to protect? We all believe that there were powers at be in motion to try to silence Malcolm X, to try to silence his message. We are here today to make sure that justice is served, and we will ensure that his message lives on and that he will not be silenced. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Hamlin. And now we will hear from this young, brilliant attorney, Nabi Hashir, who has went through every aspect of all the files that have been released pertaining to the exoneration of those who were wrongfully convicted for killing Malcolm X, to every bit of information that we have been able to get from the FBI files, even though we know there's more out there that exists. And so you're going to hear from her as we continue to try to make the case for Mayor Eric Adams, the Attorney General of the United States, and all others who have authority to make a decision in this matter, to decide that now is the right time to give Malcolm X the justice that he and his family deserve. Attorney Nabi Hashir.
Good morning, and thank you for your coverage of this significant time as we fight to right the historic wrongs of our justice system and our country's governance. Our legal teams are honored to work with these inspirational daughters. Ms. Shabazz, thank you for allowing us to work with you to fight for your father. I want to take a moment to make sure everyone knows who Malcolm X was. Yes, he was a father, a husband, a community member, but he was also a man who genuinely fought for us and had a vision of what we could be. He shared his visions with us in speeches given in June of 1964 about how the problem of the black man needed to be taken away from the hands of the United States government and instead put before the United Nations, where he believed that this world body would be able to have the power to hold the United States accountable for the illegal and criminal injustices that they committed against their people. In January 1965, Malcolm said in an interview with the CBC, "We believe that our problem is not a violation of civil rights, but of human rights. Not only are we denied the right to be a citizen in the United States, we are denied the right to be a human being." Couldn't Malcolm have said these same words today? Haven't
So, just wanted to chime in here. We at Muhammad Speaks and followers of the Honorable Silas Muhammad, the Honorable Silas Muhammad's pursuit of reparations and self determination in the international bodies, specifically within the United Nations, have pursued, in the spirit of Malcolm X and the spirit of justice, human rights. This is, and Malcolm was indeed right. This is about human rights. So, thank you for pointing that out, Attorney Nabia.
we seen the same forms of repression happen today? This is the legacy that we fight for the future Malcolm knew America could have. Federal and state agencies targeted Malcolm and described him as a black extremist, labeled black organizations as hate groups, and developed a systemic and illegal war on the black movement. Malcolm knew that these efforts to repress his justice movement existed, yet he remained steadfast, uncompromising, and unwavering in his beliefs, and unapologetically proud to be black. This terrified the United States so greatly that the FBI New York special agent sent a letter to J. Edgar Hoover on December of 1964. He called for extra coverage and extra surveillance of Malcolm X's activities, since Malcolm intended to have the issue of the oppression of black Americans brought before the United Nations. Just 2.5 months later, Malcolm was assassinated.
And here is the key part. When he threatened to go before international bodies, specifically the United Nations, he was assassinated. This is not a petty jealousy plot between the Nation of Islam and Malcolm X. Don't miss the message here, my people. This is not the Nation of Islam calling this out. This is an independent third party person who has no interest in the lost foundation of Islam. This is someone who is an outside party who is confirming that Malcolm X was assassinated because he was looking for human rights.
In Malcolm's memory, we honor his legacy by remaining steadfast in our fight for justice for every single just cause, including his.
Thank you very much, Attorney Shear, for your commitment to this case. It is inspirational. Next, you will hear from elder in the legal profession who did something that many people thought couldn't be done. Hold the government to account, the federal government to account for killing a black man. He did it, set a precedent, and we still have some more precedent to set, Flint. From the People's Law Firm in Chicago, Illinois, we welcome you, Flint, again in these hallowed grounds. Yes.
Thank you. It's truly an honor to stand here with all these wonderful lawyers, and particularly with the family, Miliasa, and to be honored to be asked to work on this case. This is an international human rights case. It's not just a civil rights case, it's a human rights case. And it is a case that now I stand here almost 55 years. Yes, December 4th, 1969 was the infamous day in Chicago when the Chicago police, together with the prosecutor of Cook County, and yes, secretly, the FBI and its COINTELPRO program went in the stealth of night and murdered and assassinated young, vibrant Black Panther leader Fred Hampton. And it took us 13 years to uncover the depth of that conspiracy that, like the case with Malcolm X, implicated not only those police and not only those prosecutors, but yes, the FBI and its COINTELPRO program. And what we learned back then was the outline of what we're now uncovering in this case. And that is that COINTELPRO was designed by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI to secretly disrupt and, yes, destroy Black organizations, and particularly Black organizations that were challenging the government, and that organizations that were fighting for coalitions, were fighting to work with other groups in this country and internationally to bring justice and to fight against white supremacy. And we learned at that time that one of the initial people that they targeted was Malcolm X. And then they targeted Martin Luther King and Stokely Carmichael. And yes, the Black Panthers, some 5 years after the assassination of Malcolm. So I was asked to come in this case, and as I said, it's an honor to be here, to look at the evidence that started to come out about the FBI's role and its connection to the New York Police Department and its bossy after the exoneration of the two men in November of 2021. And that's why we talk about a 3-year investigation that we've been involved in, because then it became known that the FBI secretly hid all these years the fact that there were 9 FBI informants in this ballroom, that one of the men, the man who carried the shotgun and actually assassinated Malcolm X, had heavy connections to the FBI and may well have been an FBI informant. He certainly was given favors after the fact. We're looking for his file. They're trying to say it may have been destroyed, but that's some of the stuff that we're looking for in this case. And the parallels are very patent. The parallels between the assassination of Fred Hampton and the assassination of Malcolm X. And that's why I'm here. That's why my office is here. And that's why we've joined together to honor the name of Malcolm X, to fight for his family, however long it may take for the government and for the the New York Police Department to take note of this case and to make justice and to give reparations to the family and to the people who have fought all these years for justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Flint Taylor, and all the resources and institutional knowledge you bring to this fight based on your years, 13 years of fighting for justice for Fred Hampton. We pray that it should not take that long to get justice for Malcolm X. And the final attorney you will hear from this morning is one of your own, New York's finest, in a different sense.
Yeah. Sure.
Attorney Jonathan Moore fought for justice for so many, Eric Gardner and others, and the exonerated 5. We're so honored to have him working alongside with us as we know he would stay the course. And as we talk with Mayor Adams and the city of New York, we want to have somebody who is very keenly aware of navigating those aspects as he did, fighting for 11 years to get justice for the exonerated five. Attorney Jonathan Moore.
Thank you very much, Ben. First of all, let me say what an honor it is to stand up in this podium next to Ilyasha Shabazz, who is a hero for all of us in terms of her staying true to this struggle to get justice for Malcolm X and for his family as well. And it's really an honor of my career, of my lifetime, to be on the stage with her. This will be a long fight. This will be a hard fight. Hopefully not as long as some of the fights we've been involved in, but we will not give up until we have justice for Malcolm X and for his family. This is, in a sense, about a reparations case. This is about remedying a wrong that happened many years ago that has not been dealt with by the federal government or the city government. And we know that there's strong evidence. Witness the exoneration of the two people who were originally convicted of it. That the governments, the two governments, the city of New York and the federal government, conspired to, we believe, eliminate Malcolm X as a incredibly dynamic political figure in this country back in 1965, and to then cover it up for many, many, many years. We will turn over every rock. We will open up every drawer. We will look at every file to get the truth about what happened to Malcolm X. And I'm happy to join with Attorney Ben Crump and with my brother Ray McClain here, and with Fred Ham. I'm sorry, I said Ray. Ray Hamlin. Ray Hamlin, and with my longtime colleague Flint Taylor, and this struggle to get justice for Malcolm X and for the family of Malcolm X. Thank you.
No, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. And as we hear from get ready to hear from our final speaker, the daughter of Malcolm X, Ilyasha Shabazz, who will make a brief statement before we take your questions. I want to acknowledge some great lawyers on our team who are not present here, but deserve just as much respect and credit. And that is Attorney Desiree Austin Holiday, Attorney Ben Elson, and Attorney Luna Drewby. They have been just battle warriors for Malcolm X's journey to justice. But we come to the final person who, man, I remember it was after Trayvon when we first talked, Ilyasha. That was in 2013. About will we ever get justice? And it's been a long journey. And I remember the hope after the other two brothers were exonerated for being wrongfully convicted for killing your father. And you said, Attorney Crump, this gives me hope. And so we're finally here today. And I know you've been so patient as we've worked so hard to get to this point where we finally get to file the lawsuit. So I know we still have a long way to go, but this day in and of itself is a small victory in your personal journey. I present to you one of the daughters of Malcolm X, Ilyasha Shabazz, Dr. Ilyasha Shabazz.
And salute to the attorneys here. What can you say? It takes a lot to wrangle with this legal system and it takes a lot of experience. I mean, you just listen to the resumes of the attorneys that have spoken here. They've worked on some high profile cases. You exonerated 5, Eric Garner, Attorney Crump is on everything. It takes that kind of experience to wrangle with the government and wrangle with the CIA, and it takes a lot of courage, and a few of them seem a little older, so maybe they're considering their age. They're like, we have nothing to lose at this point. But salute to the team of attorneys. And I know, the commentary on that particular thing, there are white attorneys here, and the other attorney who worked on Fred Hampton's case. 13 years. These things drag out. It takes endurance. It takes guts. It takes strength. And you see the white people here, but certainly we have some black attorneys here. But sometimes they bring the humility and the will and endurance, and you could just feel the passion in the second one there who spoke regarding the privilege and the honor was in the highlight of his career. And I believe that when he says that, like, you almost have to fetishize justice, to get it. So salute to the team of attorneys.
Thank you. So it has taken us a long time to get to this point, and we fought primarily for our mother, who was here on February 21st, 1965, when just a week prior her home was firebombed, as she and her husband lay in bed as husband and wife, with the bomb thrown into the nursery where my sisters and I, age 6, 4, 2, and not quite 1, slept. My mother was pregnant when she came here to see her husband speak, someone who she just admired totally, and to witness this horrific assassination of her husband. It's this photo over here where we see my mother, who was a registered nurse, care for her husband, loosen his tie, give him the comfort that he needed. She attempted to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. She turned this place, which represented trauma, tragedy, and turned it into a place of triumph, not for herself, but for others, to be the beneficiaries of my father's work, this young generation to carry this work forward so we can get a semblance of truth and justice for all of those who have been wrongfully murdered. And so I'm grateful on behalf of my sisters, my 5 sisters, to stand here with a competent, ethical group of experts, legal experts, as we seek justice for the assassination of our father, and that the truth will be recorded in history.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shabazz. Thank you. We will take your questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
So we're going to stop it right there. That concludes the press conference. A lot of passion, a lot of good information here. And you see legal work in action, coordinating a press conference, getting in as many competent attorneys as possible, doing years of research, specialists in this particular area of fighting for justice, particularly for those who have fought on behalf of Black people and have faced injustice from the American government. Just for people simply trying to do right for their people in the area of human rights. And, here at Muhammad Speaks News, we hope that This inches us closer to exonerating the legacy of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Lost Foundation of Islam, and opens the eyes of our people that, whether people want to produce movies for entertainment. Like these have real life implications, real world implications, and that our people shouldn't take these celebrities seriously anymore. Like we've had enough of them guiding us, giving us history, and mainly guiding us in the wrong direction. And it's time for us to go into the right direction. And that right direction is self determination and doing something for self. And with that said, please don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel, share this video. Also visit our website, www.mohammedspeaksnews.com. We have a subscription sale, $2 a month or $5 a month, $2 standard plan, $5 premium plan. And we also have subscriptions, not subscriptions, advertisements that we will be selling on the website as well, as low as $25 a month on a website that's frequently visited. We do a refresh of the news every week. And salute to the family. With that said, this is Afro Descendant Ali signing out.